Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Unlocking Lore, the storytelling podcast in which I, your traditional storyteller, tells you a story and we make magic happen. So, good morning, Sam. I hope you're going to have a great day. Avery, it's so good to see you again. You were on last night with the triple crochet with Rayron, and that is so awesome as always. Dunadan is also joining us here. I wonder why he's here. Kind of just curious. It wouldn't happen to be because I am joined tonight by some special guests right there in the background, would it? No, of course not. You're here because of the story. So, tonight, tonight is going to be a very, very special night. Ron, thank you so much for coming. Wing hugs. We have had such a blast last night, and let me tell you, yes, again, Ron, I'm sorry, but I'm going to say this to everybody. I was deeply moved because Ron bought a hoodie for me, and I have to say also something. I'm in love with hoodies myself, so if I could purchase hoodies from everybody, I would. Unfortunately, I'm still developing the income through my crochet and through my art. So until I do have to pick and choose which hoodie I'm going to be purchasing. But yeah, it was a really great show. And actually, I was thinking about it afterwards, and I was saying, hey, we did dive into a little bit more of the let's see, of like the manga, like the third one, but we didn't get through it completely. So we got to put that on our list again, Ron. So yeah. And let's see. Tonight, R2 is not going to be here because he's at the theater. He's enjoying Ghostbusters Afterlife. Hey, Phil! Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Man, thank you so much for coming. The beautiful and oh, thank you, Phil. You're gonna make me blush even more. You know? So great to be surrounded by such amazing people. Really, it is. So tonight's tale is kind of a very, very sweet tale. We have been diving into some really interesting stories, old lore, which is probably my favorite. Some really dark stuff through the dark mode this past October. But I guess you could say that storytelling as it is for everybody. And I think that both children and adults do enjoy both types of stories. I mentioned before I think it was one of the Inside the Booths Rumble, probably. I'm not really sure which show it was, but they were talking about darkness. And I did mention my experience with children that kids can take on darkness. They can enjoy a little bit more dark stories, and they're not scared of it. We don't have to fill them up with sugar-coated stuff like Disney does. Not saying that old Disney wasn't good. It was, okay? And Disney did something that all artists do. They take a story, they change it for their own personal needs, and then they give it out, and that's fine, For example, Snow White, definitely there's a different version. If you look at it in the old lore. Sleeping Beauty, you would be surprised at the dark stuff that Sleeping Beauty actually has. Whereas Disney presented it as a 14th, 15th century tale in that ambience, and they put it in a very, very pure, very nice way. And that's fine. That's really fine. But we shouldn't, like Phil said, we shouldn't underestimate kids with regards to dark lore. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because stories are not only to present like the dark sides of humanity, which they do, and they also redeem it through their own tales. They also present a beautiful light, a light of hope, a light of redemption, um, a quest, well, a journey. And I think that's what appeals to humanity because we are all on a journey um, through our own self discovery, and through our own life, we are on a quest on something, some personal realization, and we have different types of tests and different types of journeys through, through our entire lives. And this story that I am going to present tonight is a story of a quest, but I say this is a story that I usually use for children and children of all ages. But I think you guys will really enjoy this one because it's something that also is part of humanity, which is the pure innocence of a child, of a child looking for his or her quest, or looking for his or her, objectives or goals, and try to reach them. So, yeah, I really wanted to say that to you guys. I hope you guys enjoy it. Um, Tonight's tale is called "The Stars in the Sky." Once upon a time, in a faraway land, in a very, very simple but nice cottage, there lived a young girl. And this young girl had but one thing in her heart. She wanted to touch the stars. She would sit down every night and look up to the sky to see the blinking stars out there, twinkling in and out. And sometimes she would be lucky enough to see a shooting star. Many nights she passed through that. She would just wander and wonder, and it was just so jaw dropping. But as you know, when somebody dreams of something so much, a desire starts to well up in their hearts. Well, this one was no small desire. The young girl wanted to touch and play with the stars. Impossible quest, perhaps. But it was a desire that was growing and growing and growing inside of her until suddenly she couldn't help it. One evening in the warm summer season, she was again looking up at the stars. The Milky Way was so transparent, you could almost touch it. And that desire burst. She said, I need to touch those stars. So she dressed herself, slipped out of her window, and started to walk. And further, looking up to see where she could find the highest place on the entire earth to grab hold of just one star. She walked and she walked far and far and far, and further still, until finally, a few hours later, she came near a pond. And near that pond was an old mill wheel. The croaking ones, the wooden olden ones that would use the water to move the mill inside. Curious, she walked up when all of a sudden the mill wheel started to talk to her. What is it, young lassie? What do you want so dark in the night? Surprised but not frightened, the girl came up and said, "Excuse me, Mr. Millwheel. I've, I'm trying to touch the stars. I want to play with them. Have you seen them?" The wheel, grounding and croaking, said, "Yes, of course. They sometimes wake me up. Look down at the pond. You'll find millions of them, and they twinkle and they shine so much that sometimes I can't barely sleep. Go ahead, lassie, jump in. You'll grab some." So she did. In she went, splash, wetting herself from head to toe. She splashed around, she swam and she swam, and when she tried to grab one, she couldn't. Again, she tried and she tried until finally, dripping wet, but on the other side of the pond, she went to the mill wheel and said, "But Mr. Fiddler, there's no stars here, they're just reflections." "Oh," said the wheel. "Well, that's strange. You must have moved them with your splashing and your swimming. Go on out of here. I can't be bothered with you. Excuse me." And so the mill wheel, the mill wheel started to go round and round. The young girl tried to dry herself the best she could, and she kept walking. She entered a forest, creepy and a little bit darker than it was outside. She kept on going till finally, a few minutes later, she came to a brook that was chipping and laughing and bubbling around. "Oh, Mr. Brook, hello there," said the young girl. "Hello," whispered the brooklet. "Have you seen the stars? I want to play with them. Just grab one of them. You couldn't have possibly seen them around here, have you?" The brooklet whispering, "Yes, I have. Look around and look at all the on the stones and near the mosses. They twinkle and they sprinkle and they shine so much I can't sleep at night," said the young brook, laughing and bubbling. The little lass came. She tried to enter the brook, and she looked at the stones and she waddled around, splashing the water outside, wetting other stones, and she couldn't find them. At last, she came out. She said, "Brooklet, there are no stars here. This is just reflections. Why did you lie to me?" The brooklet was laughing at herself. "But they were here," he said. "I see them. I feel them. They tickle me." And they started to laugh and laugh, and she started to mumble even more things about the stars and how they would whisper to her and talk to her. And she was talking so much that she forgot about the girl who was there. The girl took the opportunity and tiptoed her way out. She knew that she could not get any answers from that brook. So she continued her quest. She walked and she walked and she walked and she walked until finally she came out of the forest into a large meadow with long green grass, the kind of grass that grows all the way to your chest. And because she was younger than most of us, it covered almost her eyes. But in she went, almost swimming through those long blades. She went going and going and going to finally Exhausted by all her walking, she sat down, a little depressed, but still with that desire in her heart. Just one star, one, and I'll be fine. But what she was surprised to see were little stars herself in that meadow. Stars here? She thought. One came around. The other came around. But stars don't laugh, said the little girl, for she started to hear laughter and singing and merrymaking. Quietly, she crept along the grass till finally she found a small clearing. And there in the middle, she saw the most beautiful thing that she had ever seen. A fairy dance. So many fairies clad in gold and silver dresses, long hair, golden, brown, silver, of all the colors, dancing around, merrymaking, laughing, and singing. She was so enticed, so awed that she gaped. Such a beautiful sight. Until finally, she heard a whisper in her ear. He said, "Want to join?" She looked around and she saw a tiny little fairy. "Little folk," she said, "fair ones, good people. I'd love to, but I'm on my quest myself. I'm searching for the stars. Have you seen them? I just want to touch one of them," said the little girl. The fairy folk looked at her and smiled, said, "Dance with us, and we'll tell you." And that's what she did. They grabbed her hands, 5 or 6 of them, and they pulled her up, and she started to dance and dance and dance around with the fairies. She laughed and she laughed and she cried. But she was a little girl and she was tired. So finally she flopped down and said, "I'm tired. Please tell me. I need to look at the stars." So the fairies huddled together and they started to whisper to each other until finally one of the men fairies came up, all the way up to her face. He said, "We can't help you, but we know some people who can. Your journey is long and your quest is difficult. Can you bear this?" The little girl felt her desire and said, "Yes, I can do this." "Very well. Keep going straight forward. And mind you, when you come to the fork in the road, turn to the right. You will go up a cliff, and on that cliff there will be a tree. And there, 4 feet will take you to no feet at all, who will take you to the stairs without steps. You go up those stairs, and you will find what you are looking for." The little girl thanked all the fairies, and when she turned around, they started to leave. Off she went. She walked and she walked and she walked so far until finally she came to the fork in the road. She took to the right and continued onward on her journey. She was tired, but she knew that she was close, so she carried on. And up, she started to climb up that hill all the way to a cliff. And there was a lonely tree. And tethered to the tree, a beautiful horse. The little girl ran up to the horse. She looked. She knew 4 feet. "Excuse me, Mr. Horse. I am here because of the fairies. I'm trying to grab take hold of just one star. Can you help me?" The horse looked her up and down and said, you're here for the fairies. I'm here for them too. You must be the one in search of the stars. Yes, climb up. I will take you." So the little girl waddled herself up, grabbed on to the horse's hair with all her might, and boom, it galloped off. And it ran and it ran and it ran and it ran, galloping all the way down further than she had ever been before, until finally, through the meadow, through a forest, they came to the seashore. A little bit sore, the little girl climbed off and thanked the horse. The horse said, "Oh, you're welcome. I am here because of the fairies, mind you, but this is the furthest that I can take you. Now, excuse me, I have to go back to my own folk." And with that, the horse turned around and left her. The girl walked down the beach, said, "What am I going to do now?" Until finally she heard a kersplash, and out of the sea came the biggest fish that she had ever seen. The little girl was a very, very smart one. She wasn't dumb. She looked, and it immediately clicked. No feet. She ran up to the fish and said, "Good evening, Mr. Fish. Can you help me? I am here because of the fairies. They tell me that 4 feet would take me to no feet, and no feet at all would take me to the stairs without steps, so that I could grab the stars. Can you help me?" The fish looked at the little girl, up and down and up and up. Yes, you are the one that the fairies asked me to take. Hop onto my back and grab tight. We're on for a long journey." And with that, the little girl went into the sea, grabbed onto the fish, and splash! Off they went. Of course, she was up on the top and the fish was on the bottom. But they swam and they swam and they swam. And sometimes the fish would come up and splash underneath. But they followed a silver shining path that was laid before them. Further and further and further into the sea, following that light, the little girl saw where it was coming from. It was as if it was a great ray of light coming out of the horizon. And each time they would get nearer, the light would be brighter and brighter, until it was so bright that she had to shade her eyes. But they didn't stop. They kept getting closer and closer and closer, until finally she saw that it was a rainbow. A beautiful rainbow with different colors: red, yellow, green, blue. And when she got there, she saw that it was no rainbow, but it was a path that went all the way up to the sky. The fish swam so close that the little girl was able to get on that path. She turned around to thank him, and the fish said, "No need to thank me. I'm here because of the fairies. Good luck on your quest." And with that splash, the fish disappeared. Turning around, facing that path, the girl knew what she had to do. And she started to go up. Step by step by step by step, she grew further from the earth and closer to the sky. But sometimes she felt that with each step, she would feel that the stars were further away. However, that didn't stop her. She was so close. so close to grabbing one of those beautiful diamonds in the sky. So she kept going, and up and up and up and up. And as she went closer to the sky, it grew colder and colder until she started shivering. But again, determined, she kept on going forward. Until finally she looked down and she couldn't see the earth. She looked up and she was so close until finally she came to the furthest, the most highest point, to the end of the road. And when she looked around, she saw it. Millions of stars dancing and twirling and swirling around her. And once in a while, boom, one shooting star. And some would come close and they would go back. And she would feel like they were laughing and singing with her. Her smile was so broad and so filled with radiance. She said, I just need to touch one, just one. So she stretched her arm all the way up. And when all of a sudden, near her, passed a shooting star, yes! And she tried to grab hold of that. But when she did, since she was on her tiptoes, she lost her balance and she went boom, back the path, all the way down, sliding down that rainbow, down and down. And as she was getting closer to the earth, it was getting warmer. It was getting cozier. And she was so tired from all her journey that finally, while sliding, she fell asleep. The next morning, the little girl woke up in her own bed. The sun was shining through her window, and the rays were on her bed covers. Was it all a dream? She thought. The birds were singing. She was in her room. She looked around. Could I have possibly have dreamt all this? When all of a sudden she felt something in her hand. She took it out of the covers and saw that her hand was a fist. Slowly, she started to open her fingers. When all of a sudden, when she opened her hand, something shined out and disappeared. And she knew that that was a speck of stardust. Well, thank you so much for listening to the story. It is one of my treasured stories. I found this because I wanted to do a gig in the planetarium that we have here. So I prepared myself, but I never really got around to doing it. I hope you liked it. I'm sorry I could attend to your comments during the story, as you know. Oh, thank you very much, Sam. The outro, as always, I give a shout out, a huge shout out to Master of the TDS, who so lovingly did it for me. And again, it was something that I didn't ask for. He just did it from, from his own generosity and spent time on it. So I'm really, really grateful for that. So another home run. Thank you so much, Avery. Thank you so much, Rayron. It's very important for us artists to, receive the applause from the audience. It is a way, I myself applaud a lot of things because it is a way to express, that something was really good. I'm really happy you guys enjoyed this story. Again, like I said, this is a story that I tell to students, to children in general, but adults also enjoy these simple stories. I mean, there's no need to go dark always. It's nice to go dark, but but always these stories, they strike a chord. They strike a chord because it is a journey of a quest. It is a story of a quest. It is a story of striving for something that you dream for. So yeah, thank you so much. Thank you very much. And for the intros, the intros and the outros are amazing. Thank you so much. The intro, I do have to say, I did it myself. I used both. Well, as you know, there's my logo of Unlocking Lore, which a friend of mine did it. I directed her, and she kind of put it on the screen. I used After Effects for the water thing, the water effect, and the rest I did with iMovie. I mean, it's very, very, very simple. I use just the simple programs. Well, no, After Effects actually, it's it's a pretty complicated program, but there are tutorials out there. So if you guys are interested in learning that stuff, please do so. It's not as complicated as it seems. So yeah, and I guess some of you weren't with us with Rayron yesterday, so I do have a new character inside. I was going to say inside my booth, but this is not my booth. So I do have a new character right there. I know Dunadan is kind of slobbering all over the place when I see it, so I'm just going to take him out here, present him to society. I give you dun, 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 Aragon. Oopsies. Aragon, son of Arathon, Isildur's heir and heir to the throne of Gondor in his Strider mode. But this is the latest character that I have finished. Jill of all trades. Yeah, that's why I put it in my bio on my Twitter. So yeah, it is Strider, and like I said yesterday, he is not finished. I recently finished the hair, and now he does have hair. He's not bald, Tabitha, like you saw him yesterday. You saw him semi-bald. I'm so sorry. I was just getting so excited. So yeah, he's almost finished. I just went out today to buy his leather belt. So I have here his leather belt, and he is going to be complete. I'm definitely gonna start. I'm gonna ship him next week, and it's gonna take about 2 weeks. Oh, there. It's gonna take about 2 weeks to get to his new home. So Gondor has no king. How dare you? Yes, he does. Yes, it does. He is the heir to the throne of Gondor, no matter what you say, Boromir. Don't you think that I don't know my Lord of the Rings? I do. That's something that we should talk about with the Dunadan also, because I know Tabitha is a very, very big Lord of the Rings fan also. So yeah, that's him. I'm going to be taking some pictures, hopefully soon, and I will be putting him up on social media. Kind of introduce him into society. So yeah, some great stuff, some great news for the whole community. So what are our news today? Just remember the Teespring store. I have my Teespring store in the description of this video. You are going to find all the links necessaries. I have no, not the after the weekend. I have to put that in the next video. But you're gonna find my Teespring store in the description. You're gonna find if you still wish, to help out this poor artist, you buy myself a coffee, even though I don't drink coffee except in the morning. You can go down there. There's going to be a description for tips. So, with your generosity, Aragon is turning out very well. Yes, thank you, Sam. He is turning out well. I am very much surprised at how he looks. He does look real, which is what I was striving for. And the features of the face are not easy to do. So Lord of the Rings is life. I'm going to highlight this comment because yes, it is. Lord of the Rings is such a deep and profound story. There's so much to it that it is life. Yeah, it is. So it is really awesome. So anyway, thank you so much for being there with me as always. Remember that next week, 8 o'clock, not Central, 8 o'clock Eastern, we have our After the Weekend special edition of Ghostbusters Afterlife, in which we are going to have some great guests on there. We are going to have Dan from Inside the Booth. Remember, the Duna Dan is going to be there. Tom from Rogue Disney, and as well as my co-host Rick and myself are going to be there. So don't worry, join in, spread the word. This is going to be so much fun. And Polly, the Latino slant, has seen it. He said it was a great movie. Neon from Clownfish also saw it. They said they did it right. So it is going to be good. So I am really eager to watch it. Hopefully I will, because I don't know if it's gonna premiere here. And if it is, if I can get to it. But anyway, yeah, it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be so awesome. Anyway, thank you so much. This is the end of tonight. I hope you guys had fun, and I hope to see you guys on Monday, which is going to be fun. And I will probably be doing some Twitter Spaces probably tomorrow just to hang out. You guys know that I work with 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock is like my favorite time to do either streaming or Spaces. So if you guys want to tune in and just chat, let me know. I will be doing Spaces tomorrow from 8 o'clock Eastern time to 9 o'clock, basically. So have a wonderful evening, everybody. Sam, have a good Friday. I know it's Friday on your side, so have a very, very good day. It is the weekend, and it's going to be an awesome weekend. So good night, everybody. I'm out.